All right, well, let's begin. So in this particular class, we're focusing on the foundations of our body in yoga. And the main things we want to think about minimum in any pose, in any way we're sitting, standing, upside down, is how are we breathing? What is my pelvis doing? Because it might be argued that all movement originates from the pelvis. And then what is my root doing? The part of me that's touching the ground, which is usually our hands or our feet. So we're going to focus on that today. And we'll do a lot of poses that, really challenge our balance and challenge our core. And maybe you do the full expression, you go for it. Maybe you just do a part of it. But the whole idea will be learning how do I plant my body on the ground? How do I move through space? So let's start with the breath. We are going to breathe the whole time. In fact, if you do nothing else but breathe this way, you'll have been successful. In a form of breathing called Ujjayi breath. It means victorious breath. And what we do is we seal the lips, take the tip of our tongue to where the back, where our top teeth meet our gum line. This opens the throat. And then think about, as you exhale, think about making a sound like you're fogging up a mirror. So almost like you're going, but with sealed lips. So give that a shot. And then as you inhale, make that same feeling like you're dragging the breath down your throat. It sounds like Darth Vader breathing into his mask. Give that a shot. If you're having a hard time with it, try making an open mouth sound like you're biting an apple or fogging up a mirror with your breath. And then try it again with closed lips. Just take a few moments, find your Ujjayi breath, your victorious breath. Breathing like this fully oxygenates the blood. It uses a larger volume capacity of our lungs, therefore giving our bloodstream this injection of oxygen, which helps all the systems of our body, but in particular our muscles, move much more efficiently and much more safely. So find your Ujjayi breath. We aim to keep this breath throughout all of this class. Wonderful. And now we're going to find a neutral pelvis. So sit up nice and tall in your seat. If this is ever too much for your legs, you always have the option to lengthen your legs up, but give me your best, proper, fancy position. And now I want to take your attention to your tailbone, the very back of your bottom, and actually picture a tail there. Picture a long tail regally sitting out behind you. Mine looks like a lion's tail. And I want you to exhale and think about tucking that tail between your legs. And notice, to tuck that tail, we have to tuck our pelvis. And to do that, we have to reach our shoulders back. Now let's inhale. As you inhale, think about sticking that tail straight out behind you so it props you forward. Notice how your heart lifts. Exhale, tuck your tail between your legs like a sad dog. More sad. Inhale, sit your tail up straight out behind you like a regal lion. Cool. This is called cat-cow. Exhale, tuck the tail. This is cat pose, seated. Inhale, sit that tailbone right out behind you. This is cow pose. Exhale to cat. Inhale to cow. Feel your pelvis move. Breathe first, exhale, then move the pelvis. Inhale first, then move. Exhale. Inhale. Notice the feeling on the part of your body that's actually touching the ground, the part of our pelvis that's rocking back and forth. And see if you can feel your sits bones. The actual part, the bottom part of your pelvis, if your pelvis was shaped like two ears connected, it would be the ear lobes. And see if you can feel yourself rocking back and forth on that. We want to sit up on those sits bones. So we're going to get there in a second. Next time you're in cat, tucking your tailbone. Notice if this is how you tend to like to sit. Maybe not so extreme, but sitting on our tailbone. This is pretty normal. As you inhale into cow pose and you reach that tailbone far behind you, this is a little too extreme to sit this way. We're pulling our whole body forward. So as you rock back and forth, see if you can find a place where you're seated right in between the two extremes, right up on top of those sits bones. Notice how it sits us a little bit forward. It lengthens our low back. And find stillness, sitting up on your sits bones, nice and tall in your lotus position. Find your Ujjayi breath once again. Yeah. Now we can notice that when our pelvis is in neutral, if it's a bowl right now, like if our pelvis was a bowl, it is sitting on its side, neutral position. And now we can notice how it is the foundation, the base of our spine. So let's think about our spine reaching right out of that pelvis. Sit up nice and tall, reach the crown of your head high. And let's bring some mobility there. Let's start to take some spine circles. Let's reach our rib cage over to the right. Exhale as we reach our whole rib cage back, tuck that tailbone, take it over to the left, and inhale as we come around the front. Let's circle that spine, that rib cage like a barrel, like a really slow tornado, feeling out the different parts of our spine, noticing where you feel tension, where it feels really good. And don't forget to switch directions. Notice how we're turning over our sits bones. Any cracks, pops, crinkles in our joints or back are totally normal. In fact, they're desired. Let those things go. Excellent. And on your next inhale, sit up again nice and tall. Find your lotus on your sits bones, nice tall spine. Reach the top of your head high. Take an inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, take your right shoulder forward, right hand to left knee. Look over your left shoulder, twist. Cool. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, left shoulder forward, left hand to right knee. Look behind you, over your right shoulder. Inhale to center. Exhale, right shoulder forward, look behind you, twist. Use your eyesight to see something new. Inhale to center. Exhale, left shoulder forward, twist to the right, look behind you, find something new on the wall. Inhale, back to center. I'm going to turn to the side. Our hands plant right below our shoulders behind us. Fingertips pointing towards the body. Press into the palms of the hands. Lift the heart. Gaze towards the ceiling for reverse half plank. Either stay here, just press into your hands and lift your heart to the ceiling, or start to lift your hips off the mat. Hip points lift to the ceiling, heart open. Either look at the ceiling or let your eyesight gently come behind you to the wall behind you. Press into the heels of your palms. Keep the heart lifted. Inhale. Exhale, sink your hips all the way down. Sit all the way back up in seated lotus. Cool. Hands plant in front of us on the mat. We're coming to tabletop on hands and knees. So you can either roll over your shins and come to hands and knees, or you can simply kick your legs out to the side and find your knees underneath your hips, hands underneath the shoulders. All right. So right away, we're going to think about the spine. If we have that tail, picture your tail, imagine the kind of tail that you would like to have, and think about it pointing straight out behind you. It's not lifted up in cow, it's not tucked in cat, it is reaching straight out behind us. From that tail, notice your spine goes long up the rib cage, between the shoulders, back of the neck is long, top of our head is an extension of our spine, top of the head points forward, we look down at the mat. Pelvis points down at the mat. All right, that's our hands and knees. We're going to learn Hasta Bandha, hand grip. Now, right now, our hands are holding about 50% of our body weight. Our hands aren't normally used to holding so much pressure. And so when we have our hands on the ground, we want to protect our joints. So to do that, I want you to spread all 10 fingers as wide as you can. Grip down with every single finger. You should see the color under your nail beds change. Yeah. Really grip down that L shape made by the index finger and thumb. And start to notice just the palm of your hand coming up off the ground, almost like a tiny section cut. We're gripping the mat so hard at the moment that if I came and picked you up, you would take your mat with you. But we also don't want to be rigid in yoga. So find the spot, just like how we rocked back and forth on our pelvis bone, on our pubic bone and tailbone. We want to find a position in our hands where we're not gripping the mat so tight that we're going to hurt ourselves, and that our hands aren't just doing nothing on the mat, where we're gripping those fingers down. We feel the engagement of the hands. This is called Hasta Bandha, hand grip. Keep that grip here. Take your attention to your tail. Inhale and lift your tail to the ceiling, cow pose. As you exhale, tuck that tail between your legs, point the top of your head at the mat, cat. All right, inhale, come to cow, tail points to the ceiling, top of the head points at the ceiling. Exhale, do the opposite. Tail tucks between the legs, top of the head points to the mat. Inhale for proud cow pose. Exhale, arching your back like an angry Halloween cat. Inhale, find your Ujjayi breath. Exhale, make sure your hands are still gripping the mat. It might feel a little tiring. Inhale. Exhale. Notice the position of your pelvis as we move our tails back and forth. Maybe you stay in this traditional cat-cow flow, or maybe you start to go rogue. Maybe we take some barrel rolls, or maybe we take some C shapes with our spine, or forward and back. Whatever feels good in our body today, we're noticing what our body feels like, what our back, hands feel like. But whatever we're doing, every time our tailbone, tail lifts high, we're inhaling. And every time our tail tucks, we're exhaling. Take 2 more, your breath pace, your version. All right, so this is what Hasta Bandha feels like when it's holding up 50% of our body weight. Let's find a neutral spine. Let's see if we can challenge our balance a little bit. Come to sunbird. So hands are gripping down, shoulders are brought across the back. Inhale, lengthen the right leg behind you. Maybe we stay here. Maybe we bring the leg parallel to the ground, toes point down. Notice how the feeling in our hands shift. Keep that right hip pointed down. Pelvis is still in neutral. We have a tendency to want to hike it up. Keep it pointing straight at the ground. Feel your shoulders broaden across the back. Maybe stay here. Maybe inhale to lift the left hand off the mat. Left thumb points to the ceiling. Pelvis is in neutral. Right hand remains in Hasta Bandha, hand grip. Feel yourself broaden across the shoulders. Broad low back. Maybe stay here or take an inhale. Exhale, take elbow to knee. Press into that right hand. Inhale, back to sunbird. Exhale, let the left hand and right knee come back to the mat. Give yourself a moment, find your tabletop position, and let's switch sides. Lengthen that left leg out behind you. Maybe keep it right there, or maybe lift the left heel, left leg parallel to the ground, hips in neutral. Inhale, stay here, or lift the right hand off the mat. Thumb points towards the ceiling. Think about that pelvic bowl pointing straight down to the mat, like it's looking at the mat. Breathe here. Left hand flat on the mat, solid, rooted. Take an inhale. Maybe take elbow to knee. Feel your core. Inhale back to center. Exhale, hand comes down to the mat, knee comes down to the mat. Let's take our big toes together and sink our hips back for an extended child's pose. Keep your hands forward. Feel that Hasta Bandha grip, but let your hips sink towards your heels. Knees can be together, or you can let your knees go nice and wide. Give yourself a moment here. Find Ujjayi breath. Darth Vader breath. Now, take your attention back to Hasta Bandha, hand grip, and start to press your fingers down so you lift the palms of your hands off the mat. We're tenting our fingers. Notice how that starts to stretch out our shoulders, turning child's pose into an active pose. Take another breath, an Ujjayi breath here. Forehead rests on the mat. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, put some weight into your hands. Come back to tabletop. We're headed to down dog. If down dog is not your thing and you already know it, just hang out in tabletop. Work on Hasta Bandha. Otherwise, take one hand forward, both your hands about a palm forward. Find Hasta Bandha again. Tuck your toes. And as you inhale, make sure your spine is nice and long. Exhale, press into your hands, press into your feet, and lengthen your legs to lift your hips high to the ceiling. Downward facing dog. You can pedal out your down dog if that feels good to you, getting out all the snaps, crackles, and pops. That definitely occur, especially if it's your first down dog of the day. And eventually find stillness. Inhale and press into your hands. Feel Hasta Bandha grip. Feel your shoulders broad on your back. If your tail was hanging out, it would be pointed towards the ceiling. Lift those hips nice and high. And look at your toes. Look at that space between your big toes. That'll keep the back of your neck nice and long. And think about the ball of your feet, but all the way across from the big toe to the pinky, evenly pressing into the mat. It's okay if our heels aren't there. Take another inhale. Stay for the exhale. Inhale, shift your eyesight, your gaze towards your thumbs. Prepare your body to move. Exhale first, then press into your hands, get up on your tippy toes, squeeze your belly, and start to walk your feet forward towards your hands as many steps as possible until you get close to your hands. If we're not there, if our feet stop halfway, sink your heels back and use your hands to walk towards your feet. Everyone meet in forward fold, ragdolling over our legs. Let the body go. Maybe hands come to opposite elbows. Back of the neck is long. We can shake our head. Yes, no, maybe so. And now check out your feet. It doesn't matter if our feet are touching or if they're hip width apart, but what we want is parallel feet. And that means parallel from the inside arches. Adjust as necessary, and then bow back over your shins. Let the crown of your head naturally reach for the ground. And find Ujjayi breath, even upside down. Think about your hips stacking over your heels. Excellent. On your next exhale, sink into your heels and bend your knees so that you're just about lying over your thighs. Let your arms go, and we're going to roll all the way up to standing, one vertebrae at a time. Shoulder blades go long down the back. Top of the head points at the ceiling. Coming into mountain pose, Tadasana. All right, if we have moved away from the front of our mat, I'm going to turn and point this way. Just take a step towards the front center of your mat, and let's find Tadasana. Our feet should still be parallel from when we were in forward fold. Take a glance down, adjust as necessary. And go ahead and notice your heels. Sink your weight into your heels. Take a moment to acknowledge and observe how the actual bones of the leg and ankle insert themselves into our foot right above our heels. This is our root, our connection to the rest of our body, as well as our energetic connection to the earth. Think about rooting the heels down. And now notice these long finger-like bones that come out of the heels and reach towards our toes. These bones and muscles are used for balance, for agility. Think about springing off our feet in any direction. Think about the ball of our feet underneath the big and pinky toe and press those into the ground. This is called Pada Bandha, foot seal. This is how we want to stand on the ground, utilizing the foot muscles, tiny little movements. Doesn't seem like we're doing much, but when you notice it, your feet maybe are even getting tired. Take an inhale, notice foot lock, foot grip. Excellent. From here, let's find proper standing. Insides of the thighs pull together. The pelvic floor lifts up. Shoulders stack over the hips, maybe palms turn forward. Throat is open for breathing. Crown of the head reaches for the ceiling. Relax your face. Take an inhale. Your mountain, your Tadasana, teaching our bodies how we want it to stand when we're not paying attention. Take another breath. Inhale, reach the hands to the ceiling. Exhale, pull your elbows down halfway, lift the heart, half angel. Inhale, reach the hands back up to the ceiling, look at your thumbs. Exhale, swan dive, your arms out to the side, fold all the way forward down to the ground. Inhale, let's lift up halfway. Maybe you press your hands into your shins or your thighs, aim for a flat back. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Let your body go. As you inhale, press into your heels, reverse swan dive, swing your arms out to the side and up to the ceiling. Exhale, take your hands through heart center and back down to mountain. Full sun salutation A series. We'll inhale, swing the arms up to the ceiling, gaze at your thumbs. Exhale, fold forward, hinge at your hips, swan dive all the way down. Inhale, lift up halfway, hands can press into the fronts of the legs. Exhale, plant your hands on the mat. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Step back to a plank. Your version of plank. We're going to inhale here. You can be in high plank, knees down plank, or even forearm plank. Whatever your version is, I want you to find Hasta Bandha. We're still here for one more breath. Inhale. Exhale, shift your weight slightly forward. Chaturanga or low push-up all the way to the belly. Chest and belly aim to meet at the same time. Inhale, press the tops of your feet into the mat. Press your pelvis all the way down. Lengthen out of your low back, then lift your heart away from the mat. Cobra pose. Exhale to either downward facing dog or tuck the toes, lengthen the legs. To downward facing dog. Either stay in tabletop or come to down dog. Inhale, find Hasta Bandha, hand grip. Exhale, keep that tailbone nice and high. Inhale, we're broad across the shoulder blades while our biceps frame the ears. And exhale, our heels are constantly rooting towards the earth. Maybe one day they'll touch the mat. Inhale, shift your gaze forward. Look at the space between your thumbs, prepare to move. Exhale first, press into your hands and then start to walk your feet forward towards your hands. Again, if we get stuck, just plant your heels and guide your hands back to your feet. Forward fold. On an inhale, we lift up halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, swing those arms out to the side and reach them all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands through heart center, hands to our hips. All right. We're going to come to a balancing series, tree pose. So if you are new to balancing series and you feel safer with a guide, you can just find a wall. You can always just put one hand on the wall to give yourself a little more balance. Otherwise, we can work on finding our balance right where we are. We're going to bring our big toes together, heels come together, and find Pada Bandha. Find your beautiful foot stance, foot seal. Shift your weight into your left foot. So if we're standing against the wall, we're going to have our right hand on the wall. And bend into the right knee. So the right ankle is pulling forward. Let's take our hands and point the fingers all the way down to the ground. Right away, find Pada Bandha in the left foot. Entire left leg is engaged. Heart is lifted. We can take that right foot, right hip, open up to the side, and we kickstand that right foot on the inside of our left ankle. Inhale here, maybe stay here. If we're wobbling at all, this is where we hang out. We work on knee strength. Otherwise, find your tree. Right foot can begin to creep up the left shin. Find stillness. If we want to keep going, we can take that right foot to the inside of the left thigh. Find stillness. Find your version of tree, even if we're right back in that kickstand. Inhale here, keep that foot lock, challenge your balance. If you fall out, that's great. That just means you're figuring out where your body is. Keep that tail pointed down to the ground. Keep your heart lifted. Throat is long like a tree trunk growing. Take another inhale. Exhale slowly, gracefully. Release the right leg, bring it down to meet the left. Let it go. It's in the past, doesn't exist. If you are using a wall, flip around, put your left hand on the wall. If we're not, bring your big toes together. Everyone shift their weight into their right foot. Right away, press that right foot down, engage the right leg, right glute, fingertips point down. Now we bend the left knee, left hip opens out to the side, and we kickstand the left foot on the right ankle. Start your tree. If we're wobbling, this is where we hang out. We work on steadiness. Otherwise, we can creep that left foot up the right shin, find stillness. Every time you move, take a deep ujjayi breath. Maybe we take that left foot to the inside of the right thigh. Keep that tailbone pointed down, throat growing long. Right heel rooted, core engaged. Focus is unwavering. Take a deep breath, find your breath, your version of tree. Gracefully let it go on an exhale. Left foot comes back to meet the right. Let it go. Shift the weight back into the left foot. Again, you can use the wall for this. We're just going to come for a moment balancing pose in a little bit different direction. So we're going to lift that right foot up to 90 degrees. I'll turn to the side. We're going to lift our right foot up to 90 degrees. We're going to leave our hands right by our side for just a second. Coming to stork pose. Take an inhale here. Let's take our hands to heart center or leave them on a wall. Balance here, just feeling that foot grip, left foot, heel rooted down, building strength around the knee, in the thigh. One more breath. Exhale, stretch out that right leg and let it find the left. Inhale, shift the weight into the right foot, lift that left thigh up, 90-degree angle of the left leg. Maybe hands stay at our sides for balance, or maybe we take them to our heart. Keep that heart lifted towards your thumbs. We're not curling over our spine. Spine is long, pelvis is neutral. Pressing into that right heel, rooting down, challenging our balance. One more breath. Exhale, left heel comes to meet the right. Shake it out. And again, if we're away from the front of our mat, step forward. Find your mountain pose. Inhale your hands to your heart center. Let's go ahead and shift the weight into the left foot. Take that right thigh 90 degrees like we just did. As you exhale, shift your weight forward, kick that right leg out behind you, and gracefully Step it down about 4 feet behind you, setting up for warrior two. I'm going to come and face this way. Our left toes point towards the front of our mat. Our right foot has gone parallel to the short edge. We want to find our right arch of the foot and left heel in one line. And then we want to think about having a long spine. So from the top of our head all the way down to our tailbone, we're in one line. Now we can bend into the left knee, opening the thigh up towards the back side of the left foot. We can keep our hands at heart center, pressing into the palms, or we can lengthen the arms in the direction of our legs, looking over our left fingertips. Engage the arms like we're holding weights, lift the heart, shoulder blades gently knit together. Warrior two. Find Pada Bandha foot grip. It feels a little bit like your feet are trying to pull back towards one another. Notice how this engages the inner thighs. Breathe. Inhale, lift the left fingertips to the ceiling. Peaceful warrior. Let's flow this. Exhale, arms go out to the side. Left forearm comes to the top of the left thigh. Right arm drapes over the right ear, lateral angle. Good. On an inhale, come all the way back up to peaceful warrior. Keep the bend in the left knee. Exhale, come back to lateral angle. Left arm to left thigh, right arm reaches high. Inhale, peaceful warrior. Side bending the left side of the body. Exhale, lateral angle, side bending the right side of the body. Inhale, one more peaceful warrior. Long rib cage. Exhale, lateral angle. Press the feet into the mat. Inhale, let's reach everything up. Hands reach high, come to star pose. Toes are going to point out, heels are going to point towards the tailbone of the body. Reach the heart forward, reach the hips forward. As you exhale, bend your knees, open your thighs, bend your elbows down halfway for temple pose. Good, find your temple. This is an intense heating pose. We wanna make sure we feel steady in our feet, so make any adjustments. We wanna think about our thighs circling inward. So they're circling from the bottom to the center line, keeping our hips nice and open. We want our heart lifted, shoulders over our hips. Let's find that once more. Let's inhale to star pose. Lift the heart. Exhale, find temple again, sink it down. Aiming to have the thighs parallel to the ground one day. Keep those shoulders over those hips. Take another breath. Sink down a little deeper. Yeah, Jason, you look good. Inhale, star pose, reach everything tall. Let's come back to the front of your mat. Pivot your toes to the front of your mat. And let's just try to step, hop, skip that left foot back to me, the right. Excellent. We're going to find our mountain pose again. Wonderful. Inhale, hands to heart center. Shift the weight into your right foot. Lift that left thigh 90 degrees. Exhale, kick that left foot out behind you. Try to get it about 4 feet. See if we can, and plant that down. Left foot goes parallel to the short edge of the mat. We turn our hips and shoulders to this long edge. Find your right heel in the same line with the left arch of your foot. Find a long spine, shoulders stacked over the hips. Now we can bend the right knee, aiming to stack the right knee over the right ankle. Inhale, press into your palms. You can stay like this, or exhale and lengthen your arms out to the side. Gaze over the right fingertips. Warrior two. Find Pada Bandha. It feels like your feet are trying to work themselves back together. Keep that right knee easing over the right ankle, but never in front. Feel your inner thighs lift up. Heart lifts. Inhale, right fingertips lift to the ceiling. Peaceful warrior. Exhale, arms go wide, right forearm rests on right thigh, left arm drapes over the left ear, lateral angle. Let's flow that. Inhale, peaceful warrior. Keep those feet nice and strong. Exhale, lateral angle. Inhale, peaceful warrior. Exhale, arms go long, right forearm to left thigh, lateral angle. Inhale, let's come to star pose. Everything lifts up, fingertips go wide, toes point out, heels point in, lift the heart. Exhale, find temple pose. Bend those knees, sink those hips down, tail points down, shoulder blades knit together. Take a deep breath. Feel your body heating up. Drop your hands to just inside your thighs, behind your knees. Restack those shoulders over your hips. Inhale. Exhale, take the right shoulder forward. Look behind you. Feel the twist. Oh yeah. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, left shoulder goes forward. We look behind us over the right shoulder. Inhale, back to center. Lift everything up. Star pose. Woo! Point those toes towards the front of your mat. Step that left foot up to meet the right. Challenging our balance. Find mountain pose. Coming into chair pose, if you have a block and want to place it between your thighs, this is a great way to feel thigh engagement. Otherwise, we're going to bring just a couple of inches between our toes and heels, still keeping them parallel, but maybe about 6 inches, about 2 fists width apart. Sink back into your heels, feel your tail point down. And as you inhale, sit your hips back like you're about to sit on your couch while your hands swing forward, palms face each other. Take a deep breath. This is chair pose, Utkatasana. Feel like you're holding a grapefruit between your thighs. Feel the weight shift back into your heels. And think about our pelvis. Our pelvis is not lifted like in cow pose. It is flat. It's in neutral. Take another breath here. Exhale, take your hands to heart center. Lean forward a little bit over your thighs. Inhale, still in chair with hands in prayer. Exhale, let's take that right elbow, twist to the left, lock it on the left thigh. Right elbow to left thigh. Think about stacking your left shoulder on top of your right shoulder, twist to the side. Breathe here, find Ujjayi breath. Think about Pada Bandha. Are your feet still connected to the earth? Oh yeah, one more breath. Inhale back to center. Exhale right away, left elbow to right thigh, twist to the right, heart opens to the right. Think about stacking that right shoulder on top of the left. Press into your palms, maybe even lengthen your arms to the ceiling and floor to deepen the twist. Take a breath. Inhale back to center. Exhale, stand up, let it go. If your thighs are tired, maybe give them a little bit of a shake or just find stillness in mountain pose. Good. Inhale, swing the hands out to the side, reach them high. Exhale, spill forward, hinge at your hips, forward fold. Inhale, lift up halfway. Keep those hips over your ankles. Exhale, plant your hands and find your plank. Again, high plank, plank with your knees down, or forearm plank. Find Hasta Bandha, hand grip. Ease those shoulders over the wrists. Feel your tail point straight out behind you. Crown of the head points forward. Look down at the ground about 2 feet in front of you. Keep the back of your neck long. Inhale and feel the back of your legs energize to the ceiling. So good. Tuck that tail towards your heels. One more breath here. Inhale, spin onto the side of your right foot. Side plank on the right side. Lift the left hip. lift the left arm to the ceiling. Option to drop the right knee down. Option to do this on the forearm. Find your breath. Find stillness. Keep that left hip lifted, chest broad, hand grip in the right hand, maybe option to lift the left leg. Yes, Jason, woo! Exhale, let's take the hands down, find your plank. Inhale, exhale, ujjayi breath. On an inhale, turn onto the left edge of your foot, reach your right hand, reach your right hip up to the ceiling. Option to drop the left knee, option to be on the forearm. Find stillness, broad chest, heart lifted. Option to lift the left leg. Stay for the inhale. Exhale, bring your hands back down to plank, sink your knees to the mat, big toes together. Let's pull back to a child's pose. Hips over the heels, hands can be long, or you can come to restorative and let them rest alongside the body. Find ujjayi breath. Good. Let's bring our hands back out in front of us. Crawl those fingertips forward. Bring some weight into our hands. One last plank, just because you know what? We can. We're alive. We can do it. And then let's come down to forearms. And then let's just like let everything sink down to the mat. Place your palms on top of one another. Let your forehead rest on the back of your hands. In the first phase of crocodile, completely relax everything. Think about your forehead relaxing, back of the head relaxing, armpits relaxing, backs of the thighs, tops of the feet. Let it go. Find your ujjayi breath. Maybe right here, this pose is your jam. This feels really good. You're going to stay here. Maybe we want to take phase 2 of crocodile, in which case we prop our elbows onto the mat straight out in front of us, and we reach for our chin, like we're posing for the cutest family photo. We hold our jaw in our hands, and we're not sinking back into our shoulders. We're not kinking at the back of our neck. Our heart is lifted. The back of our neck is long, and the front of our pelvis is actually pressing into the earth. The soft part of our belly pressing into the earth. We're pressing our thoracic spine, back bending the center of our back, the part that rounds when we're driving our car. Maybe this is good. Maybe we stay here, or maybe we take the final expression of crocodile. We begin to engage the back of our legs, our glutes, and we lift our legs right off the mat, not kinking any part of our back. Our spine is long. Our heels are reaching away from the body while our heart eases forward, making this beautiful cup shape on the back of our body. Noticing all the muscles on our back body, pulling to the center line of our body. One more inhale. Exhale, sink everything back down to the first version of crocodile. Hands stacked, forehead rests on palms. All right, hands come underneath the shoulders. We press ourselves up to kneeling in hero pose for just a second. Bit of an ankle release. Let's tuck our toes and walk our hands back until we're seated as best we can on the backs of our feet. Let's take our hands to our low belly, and let's just find ujjayi breath, just one deep breath together. Close those lips. Inhale, feel that Darth Vader sort of breath. Exhale, notice how it sounds like waves lapping on a shore. Let's just do it once more. All right, hands plant on the mat. Take a seat, come to your bottom. We're going to lengthen our legs out, coming to reverse plank. We did half reverse plank earlier in class with legs in lotus. You can take it the same way, or we can try it with legs out, the full expression. Either way, Hands come behind us on the mat. Fingertips point towards the body. Start to press into those hands. Find Hasta Bandha. We lift the heart and look at the ceiling. Option to stay here, option to have legs in seated, or we can begin to lift those hips off the mat, pressing them towards the ceiling, coming to a long spine. We're not overextending, we're not dipping our hips. We have a long spine, a reverse plank. Inhale here, keep that heart lifted, maybe look at the ceiling, or maybe ease your head back to look at the wall behind you. On an exhale, sink the hips. Come all the way up to staff position, making a beautiful seated L. Flex those toes towards your nose. Use your hands to sit your body just a little bit forward. Find that neutral pelvis. Once again, find your sit bones. Just take an ujjayi breath here. So good for posture, this pose, staff pose. Really good for teaching our body how we want it to sit when we're not paying attention. Most of us sit on our tail when we're watching TV. Don't sit on your tail. You need it. Even if it's just in our heads. Take another breath. Look at your big toes. As you exhale, plant your feet on the mat. Knees point up. Grab those thighs, and we're going to lay all the way back down to supine with bent knees. If you have blocks or pillows or even a stack of books handy, it might be nice to lay on that in bridge. If not, I'm going to talk us through how to hang out in bridge. But first, let's go ahead and take our feet underneath our knees. We're going to feel into your feet. We want them to be parallel and about hip width apart or so. And hands are down by our hips, palms face down. Back of the head, back of the neck, shoulder blades, everything nice and heavy on the mat. Throat is open, not kinking anything. As you inhale, press into the inside arches of your feet. Let that lift your hips to the ceiling. As you exhale, flow that back down. Good. Inhale, do that again. Press into the arches of your feet. Take your arms this time. Arms reach up and all the way over our head. Exhale, let that go completely. Hips sink down, arms go back to the hips. Inhale, let's lift that all up. Hips up, arms up and over. Notice the weight shift between your shoulders. Exhale, flow that back down. So you can continue flowing into this beautiful back bend called bridge, loosening up the shoulders, building stamina in the thighs, if that's where we're hanging out today. Or we can hold our bridge. So if you're going to keep flowing, just ignore me, do this, do your thing. Otherwise, we keep our hands right next to our thighs. We don't move them this time. We press into the inside arches of our feet. We press into our palms also. Lift the hips. Keep pressing into those feet. We're not using the glutes at all. We're actually using the feet and the quadriceps, and we're pressing into the palms. Keep that throat open. If we have a block or books or pillows, we can slide that underneath our sacrum and actually just lay on top of it. That feels really good. But if we don't, we're going to be nice and active. We're back bending. We're heart opening. Keep those feet active. Maybe your shoulder blades start to knit together on the floor behind you. Maybe fingers on both hands find each other and hands interlace. We can press that fist into the ground now. Feel your back bend. If it's too much in your low back, you can always sink your hips down and just stay still. That's a posture also. Find the balance between steadiness and comfort. Find your ujjayi breath. Bridge pose is so good for the body. It is an inversion, which means it gets the heart over the brain, which sends more fresh oxygenated blood to the blood-brain barrier. It's very good for bringing clarity of mind and dealing with mild depressive symptoms. It's also a great way to engage our quadriceps, a very hard muscle to target, but it's also a heart opener.
It's literally a physically vulnerable position. This builds emotional stamina because it's asking us to stay in a position that we would frankly rather not be in. This is good for our minds too. Take another breath, feel your feet on the ground. And now as you exhale very slowly, maybe even by swaying your hips side to side first, swing those hips all the way back down to the mat. Let it go. Maybe heel toe your feet out wide on the mat. Take knees to the left and to the right, windshield wipering our knees back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. All right, when it feels good in your body, let your legs go nice and long, hands come down to the sides of your body, let your body be long. And then as you inhale, let's take that right knee right up into the belly. Use your hands, maybe give your shin a nice hug. Tuck your chin for just a second, squeeze that ascending colon. And now let's let the arms release out to a T. On an exhale, let that right knee drape over the body, twisting to the left. We're coming into a hip stretcher, spine twist. Keep that right shoulder blade down. Think about the spine wringing itself out like a wet washcloth. Notice the stretch in your right hip. Maybe we even look over the right shoulder to increase the twist. Breathe here. Find your Ujjayi breath. Victorious breath. Come back to center on an inhale. Exhale, use your core, switch the legs. Maybe even reach over that left shin, hug it into the body, massaging our descending colon, giving our hip a little bit of a pinch. Now let those arms relax out to a T, maybe goalposts if that feels better in your shoulders. And on an exhale, let that left leg drape across the front of your body to the right. Hip stretcher with a spine twist. We can look up at the ceiling or over our left shoulder, but keep that left shoulder blade pinned to the mat. Allowing our spinal cord to get wrung out, so all the muscles connecting to our spine and the outside of our hip where our IT band connects to our glute, giving our body time to open, finding that position between yummy ease where it feels so good, but also effort. We don't just fall asleep in these poses. One more breath. Inhale back to center. Exhale, bring the right knee to meet the left. Let's hug ourselves over our shins. Try to touch your forehead to your kneecaps. Feel the stretch in the back of your neck. And then keep your arms where they are if possible. You can loosen your grip if you have to. And now ease the shoulder blades to the mat. Back of the neck to the mat. Back of the head to the mat. For wind removing pose. It's aptly named. Don't be embarrassed if some wind escapes. It's part of the process. We're massaging directly our transverse colon, pushing on it. Good for the metabolism. And let's tuck our chin to our chest. Create a double, triple chin here to ease the back of the neck to the mat. We're elongating our spine. Good for the skeletal system. We're compressing the front side of our body, actually detoxing our front body organs. Take a deep breath. Feel the compression on the front side body. Feel the stretch on the back side body. Our spine is long, back of the neck down, back of the head down, shoulder blades down, and our tailbone trying to roll itself out like a red carpet. One day, entire spine long on the mat. Take another deep breath. Release the arms, let the knees and thighs open up nice and wide for the belly. Point the soles of the feet at the ceiling and come to happy baby. So we're aiming to reach for the sides of our feet. That's not going to happen today. We can grab for the sides of our shins or even just the backs of our thighs. But whatever we're hanging on to, make sure you have a nice grip with your fingers, almost like Hasta Bandha on our feet. and start to use your bicep strength to ease your knees into your armpits. Think about lengthening the femur bone, stretching out the hamstring. Our knees are aiming into our armpits because one day we may be able to lay our knees down on the mat right next to our rib cage if our hamstrings only get long enough. Keep that chin tucked to the chest. Look down the center line of your body. Keep those collarbones nice and broad. Take another deep breath. Spine is long. We're not letting that tail tuck between our legs. Inhale. Exhale, slowly release the feet. Let the feet come down to the mat. Go ahead and lengthen the legs nice and long. Bring your heels together. Allow your big toes to fall open. And let's take our hands right onto our hips. Find your pelvic bones, the top of your pelvic bones. Again, if our pelvis are shaped like ears, we're reaching for the top of the ears. And now that we've spent so much time thinking about our pelvis, probably more than we have in a while, and all these different tiny movements in our hands and our feet that we can do and how it changes our body, we're going to see if we now can notice how even these small movements can move our body. Let's take our feet back to the mat. Plant your feet into the mat, knees point up, leave your hands on your pelvis. And go ahead and just press your right foot into the ground. Notice how that lifts the right side of your pelvis up. It doesn't take much. Let it go. Try it with the left foot. Notice how even doing small things like pressing the muscles of our feet into the ground. Go ahead and press that right foot down again. Just notice it. Pressing our feet down, it affects our entire body. The same is true of the breath. When we breathe, we're not just expanding our lungs and contracting our diaphragm. We're moving many muscles of the body every time we breathe. And so it's just nice to notice that, again, if we just press into our foot, that whole side of our pelvis lifts. Crazy, huh? And with that small bit of amazement at our bodies, let's go ahead and find our Shavasana. Let those legs come long again, heels together, toes fall open. This time, hands come down to your side, palms face up, let your fingers naturally curl in. Maybe take a slight tuck to your chin if it feels good. And we're going to go ahead and relax these parts of our body that we worked, mainly the ones that we just focused on. But let's go ahead and start with our head. Our head houses the brain, and so we need to get that bad boy online with us first and in agreement before it'll let the rest of our body relax. So let's do that. Take your awareness to the back of your head. Notice the back of your head on the floor. Notice that feeling. Feel the back of your head relax into the floor, like it's melting. And now bring your awareness to your jaw line. Notice if you're clenching. If we are, let's see if we can relax our jawline. Take your attention to the tongue inside your mouth. Relax your tongue completely. Relax your lips, your eyeballs, your forehead. Feel your whole face go slack and feel how good that feels. Maybe your lips even part. You're so slack. Whole head relaxed on the mat. Now slide that awareness all the way down our body into our feet. Begin to notice your feet. Just notice what they feel like. Notice your heels resting on the ground, the bottoms of your feet, all those muscles. Notice the pads of your feet underneath the soles, the pads of all of your toes, the tops of your toes and feet. And notice the ankles And just relax this whole area. Take that awareness into the palms of your hands. Notice the temperature. Ask the palm of your hand to relax. Let your fingertips all relax. Let's notice our nail beds, the backs of our hands. Take a deep breath and notice your wrists and ask this whole area to relax, thanking it for all the work it did today. And now we're going to take our awareness into our pelvis. If we are ready to relax our pelvis and we just cannot wait, go ahead and dig in there. But if it's not something that we think about often, or it's a place we tend to avoid with our mind, we're just going to be nice and easy about it, systematically just relaxing the muscles, giving it some love. So go ahead and notice your glutes, these strong, biggest muscles of our body, easily resting on the ground. Feel them sort of sink a little deeper, like they're melting into the mat. And from there, notice the soft part of your belly. See if you can ask this part of your belly to relax, to be completely at ease. We don't need to suck it in. We don't need to do anything with it. It can be nice and open. And then take some deep breaths and try to feel your breath as low in your body as you can in your pelvis, or maybe towards your belly button. Just direct it to this area. Now let's notice the cardinal planes of our body all relaxed at the same time, from our head to our feet, from hand to hand, left to right, right to left, and nestled safely between them, our whole pelvic bowl. Being thankful for these parts of our body, they keep us mobile, active, connected, and safe. Let's take one more deep, victorious breath together. All right. Now begin to invite some movement into your fingers and toes. Maybe stretch your arms long over your head. Let your body wake up. Turn yourself over into the side of your body onto fetal position. It doesn't matter which side. Give yourself a moment. Stack one hip on top of the next. Let that body come back online if that was extra sleepy for you. And then go ahead and press into your hands. Bring yourself all the way up to seated. Find your seated lotus, your neutral pelvis, leaning just forward of your sits bones. Hands can rest in your lap or on your thighs. Feel your spine reach nice and long up out of those hips. Crown of the head reaches towards the ceiling. Let's take one more victorious breath together as a class. So exhale out everything that you got. Press it out. Seal your lips. Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your nose. Wonderful. Namaste, everyone.